So Jesus is really clear right off the bat that nobody can know the day or the hour. But I think I've told this story here before, but I remember seeing a book in a Christian bookstore that had said, citing this verse, Jesus said we can't know the day or the hour. He didn't say we couldn't know the month and the year. And so here was this whole book explaining to you where it was going to come down. Just the height of arrogance, isn't it? That the Son of God said, I don't even know. And a created being's like, I got you. I'll figure this out for you. But that's one of the issues for us being made in the image and likeness of God, is that we're very godly, but we're not God, right? And so we can often go to those places and spaces that we shouldn't. That's what got our first parents in trouble, right, as they wanted to enter into that space. And so as we hear right off the bat in this gospel, that's doom and gloom. It sounds like the world unraveling, chaotic, disintegrating, falling apart. And that can mirror sometimes how we feel in our own lives when we experience what I would call the hiddenness or silence of God. When I say I call it that, I'm borrowing it from someone. But that idea that God can be hidden or silent at times. And so as we hear that idea of darkness, we can experience that. And we see it whether it's a global tragedy or a national crisis or something within the church or our own personal heartbreak. Maybe we've been betrayed or deeply wronged. And then we can identify with that. I don't see the sun. I don't experience the moon, and the stars might as well be falling out of the sky. Those are very real things that happen in our lives. And as I said, part of being so God-like is that it begs the question to us, why didn't God make it easier? Why didn't he? And Father Ron Rolheiser made the point, the reason he didn't is because he couldn't. Because the sovereignty, the primacy of freedom is ours. Now, I'm not trying to answer for you the great conundrum of evil in the world. I'm trying to offer you an insight. As I often say to people, when you're talking about a mystery, if I share something with you and it answers it for you, it solves it for you, kill me, I've done you a huge disservice. There's no answer to that. Not any that make any sense. There are religions that offer trite answers to these questions, and I find them very unfulfilling. It's more about something that has to be experienced and applied to each and every time you encounter them. A new frustration, a new level of heartbreak, a new level of betrayal, or going, oh my gosh, what just happened? But if we let go of the need to know that or control that, which is really only God's business, then we can focus on what is our business, what is our call, what is our challenge, and that is to be as God-like as possible in all situations, to co-create with God, to build up the kingdom of God, not focus on the darkness that might be there and flip out about it, but to say, my goodness, what can I do right now in this moment? Because, and I've used this example before, hopefully you don't remember it and it will sound new to you, but it's a good one. 130 years ago, mathematicians and engineers and scientists decided to figure out why a bicycle works. You ever study this? Nature magazine has a whole article. It's worth reading. And 130 years later, you know what they discovered? We have no idea why a bicycle works. That should concern you on some level. If you're concerned about the question of why there's evil in the world, then you should at least be as concerned about why we don't know. What we would call bicycle stability is more, it's like the more time they spend on it, the more they go, yeah, no, we don't know. We don't know. And part of the issue is nobody wants to put a lot of money at it because it won't generate any more money, right? We just say it works. It does work, but we don't know why. And so then the question becomes for us as we look in our own world, I guess what I'm hoping for you is that you live your life as a disciple of Jesus Christ with the same confidence that you ride a bicycle, assuming you still do, or at least that you did. Or at least that you would understand when working with a young person to teach them to ride a bicycle, that your first piece of information to them would not be, now we don't know why this works. Wouldn't you be setting them up for abject fear about that device? Hey, listen, this is a lot of fun, and it can get you from A to B in a short amount of time, but we don't know how it works. So good luck with it. And so we would say of people of faith, yes, there are things we don't understand. I don't know why bad things happen to good people. But I do know when I see it, I've got a call to do something in that moment. And generally, it's just to be present to that person and see if there's something I might be able to offer in that moment. But if nothing else, just my presence, my silent presence to them. In my own tragedies of life, that's what spoke the loudest to me. Wasn't any fixes anyone offered. I shared this a lot. Today's actually the anniversary of the death of my grandfather, Nelson DeFord, died in 2007. I was born on his birthday. That's my middle name's Nelson. But I remember at my own dad's funeral visitations, the unbelievably trite things that some people said in an effort to defend God as to why a young man had died. Things like, well, it's God's will. What does that mean to a 14-year-old boy? Is that supposed to comfort me in that moment? God's will is very complicated, and we don't have an answer to that, so stop trying to offer one. It's better this way, because he had had cancer. Oh, it's better this way. You know, God needed another angel. In my response to that, in my head, if God needs angels and he creates them by taking our loved ones from us, I'm not sure I want to spend eternity with that guy. You see what I'm saying, though? That the best way to defend God is the way you defend a lion. Get out of the way. God doesn't need our defense. God needs our faithfulness and our ongoing focus on what it is that he's offering us as being so close to God. We are not little gods, but we were absolutely made in the image and likeness of God, which means when those dark moments come, when the sadness comes, we have an opportunity to be present and offer God's healing touch, maybe even physically, but that people would know they're not alone. It's the same of the mystery of this Eucharist. I don't fully understand it, but I take it with the confidence of the examples I've seen of what it means, which is to sacrifice and to love and to pour it out for others. And my hope for myself is that the more I consume of this, the better I become, at least the more faithful I become to that sacrifice, that love, and the pouring it out for others. Because if there's one thing I absolutely know, it's that my life isn't for me. It just isn't. You can't be a follower of Jesus Christ. You can't worship the guy who dies on the cross and think that your life was for you. It's for all. Just as when God offered it, it was for all. As people made in the image and likeness, we want to do the same. What other gift could he have offered us on the night before he left but to say, here, have my presence. Let it strengthen you. Let it increase your vision for what's possible. Let it take away some of the fear about the things that you see that are darkness, that are evil. But that God had to make that sort of trade, right? To go, if I give you freedom, you might choose to do with it something that isn't good and right and just and beautiful. You might choose that. But if you and I commit ourselves to the confidence of saying, we're going to do the right, we're going to seek the good, as much as we humanly can, that becomes our focus, then the kingdom of God goes from there to here. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God will come to earth. That's our work, and it can only be our work. Again, why God set it up that way, I don't know. It's not in the teacher's edition. I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is even if I had an answer to that, it doesn't change what I need to do today. And that's to let go, lay it down, surrender it, and let more of his presence come into me. As John the Baptist said when he saw him, he must increase, I must decrease. So let us get on our spiritual bikes with the confidence that we know from past experiences it works. Let us be committed to living a life of love and sacrifice for each other because we know it works. Even on those days when the sun's fallen out of the sky, we will stand and claim with great confidence for those that might be afraid. No, God's on his throne. The Son has won the victory, and we claim it for each other. May God be praised.